Want first place, come play with me. You want second place, go somewhere else.
It was better later.
It was an everyday process.
Coffee's for closers only.
You're listening to the Morey Health Podcast.
My guest today is the mighty Michael Karam. He's a 24-year-old NRL Development Officer who goes around Western Sydney teaching kids how to play the wonderful game of rugby league. So please welcome Michael Karam.
Thanks for the intro, Rob. It's very nice of you. But yes, I've worked for the NRL, been there for 5 years now, 2.5 full time. So really working on my craft at the moment. My main role is to go around to the primary schools in the Parramatta area and teach kids how to play rugby league and get them playing our after school program, League Stars. So pretty much that's transitioning kids who don't play rugby league into playing rugby league, and that's our main focus, get more kids playing the greatest game of all.
Cool. Okay, I guess what got you doing that in the first place, and give us a background about your deep roots in rugby league and sort of what you do on a week-to-week basis, not just at work but on a volunteer level.
Yeah, so when I started as a casual with the NRL, I was still at uni studying health and physical education, and it was a good way for me to earn a bit of coin on the side while I was still studying. But yeah, at the time, I was approached after I was refereeing on the carnivals. I'd been refereeing for about 5 years prior to that. Still involved with the local Parramatta Referees Association as the director of refereeing now. So that keeps me busy.
So pretty much you got told that you're a terrible player, give it up, and maybe you could referee and make something of it. Yeah,
pretty much at the time I was 13 years old, and my rugby league career as a player was pretty much all dried up. There was no chance of me making any rep sides. So I made the decision to pick up a whistle at the young age of 12 and started refereeing when I was 13, and I haven't looked back since. I had a better career up until recently when I got a few injuries, and that's put me into the coaching side of things now, looking at coaching development of younger referees so they can have a bit of a better career than what I did.
Right, and I guess why did you stop refereeing? What's the cause of that?
So the main reason I stopped going out in the field and refereeing was because of my injury. I tore my hamstring 3 times in the space of 6 months while I was refereeing junior reps.
Yeah.
So first time I tore it was November. We were playing a game of touch football, and I took a nice intercept on the goal line. I was away, no one was going to catch me. Then a sniper took me out. And then on New Year's Eve, when I was doing my run program, I was on my last set of my run program, and it went on me again. And I thought, here we go, it's going to be a long recovery. I was just about to start the season, and it went on me. And then, I was pretty much back ready to go, round 1. And in the warm-up at training, that went on me again. That's when I pulled the pin and said, I can't keep doing this to my body, and moved on to coaching and development of referees.
And I mean, I guess for the people listening, I was actually there for 2 of the 3 times that you tore your hammy, and to see a good friend of mine go through that and have to put themselves through the pain and the punishment of trying to rehab themselves and coming out the other end, where essentially their hopes and dreams of becoming an NRL referee getting squashed well and truly through the floor and into a coffin. It's quite hard to watch, quite heartbreaking to see a dream that I guess we both shared just be completely demolished due to an injury and one game of touch footy where you did think you were Jared Hayne at the time and you could step and kick and run and do everything that you could possibly do as a halfback, but you're a halfback in a forward's body, mate. So, yeah, you just weren't necessarily conditioned the same way or built the same way that a halfback or a Jared Hayne's supposed to perform.
Yeah, no, now it looks like a big George Rose trying to do a chip and chase down the sideline, which is pretty terrible to watch. But
I reckon you could have a shot at coming back and being a player again, actually.
I might be a couple of weeks of good conditioning, and I might be fit enough to get back out on the field and take a few hit-ups.
I mean, for people that come across the game of rugby league, and I know that we're balls deep in rugby league, and we love it. We eat, sleep, breathe rugby league. Your whole bloody house, we're at your house now. There's just rugby league bullshit everywhere. Everywhere you look, you can't find a room without something that has a rugby league NRL logo on it, New South Wales Rugby League Parramatta, because you're unfortunately were raised and brainwashed into the blue and gold army.
Oh, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, it's hard to find good help, I guess, these days. Yeah, so I guess tell me a little bit more about your upbringing and what rugby league has done for you as a person.
Well, yeah, for me, I started playing rugby league when I was 4 or 5 years old. At the St. Gertrude Bombers, they were around the corner from where I lived. I played from the 6s all the way up to the 12s, and then in the under 12s, I moved over to the mighty Marconi Mustangs, where I realised that my playing career was done and dusted. But in that time, I won a couple of premierships, had lots of fun, made a lot of very good friends. There's still one friend that I stay in touch with at the moment, so I played with him at the St. Gertrude Bombers, and we both went across to Marconi. And
what sort of name is the Bombers, mate?
Well, it's part of the Catholic competition, but yeah, very very aggressive name compared to.
Are they still a club around anymore? I haven't heard of them.
No, so unfortunately, over the last few years, they've folded due to a lack of numbers in that area. But the dynamic of that conference competition has changed dramatically since I was playing. But yeah,
and I guess what caused you to stop playing?
Well, stop playing when I was playing under 13s at the time. I had a coach who was a win at all costs mentality, and with a team that was a very amateur backyard footy kind of team.
Subpar footy. Yeah, right. B grade.
Yeah.
Below B grade.
We weren't anything
B-.
flash. They wanted us in Division 1, and we were just getting our asses handed to us every week. And yeah, I ended up with Osgood-Shuttler syndrome at the time. Again, another injury that made me go, well, my options here, could I keep playing or can I move into something else in rugby league? And yeah, I looked at it long and hard and thought, no, refereeing would be better on the body, which it was.
For those that don't know, can you explain what that condition is and how it affects you?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a more of an adolescent problem when you're a younger teenager, you're going through growth spurts. That's where, pretty simply, your bones are growing too fast for your muscles, or vice versa. Your body isn't keeping up with what your growth spurts. And I had it in my knees, and obviously the contact with driving, getting hit on the ground on my knees in a tackle was.
You're on your knees often at that time, were you?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, it was just taking it right out of me, and couldn't keep going.
Right. Okay, so a curious place to be as a 13, 14-year-old that's sort of left without a home in rugby league. And I guess that carnival that you went to where someone said maybe you should pick up the whistle, that's where I met you when we were both, 14 years old?
Yeah,
both 14. Parramatta referees, first training session of the year in 2010. So I guess, unfortunately for you, you've had to know me for 10 years, and maybe you can give your side of the story on the first, 6 years of our relationship, and how things went, and I'll try and fill in the gaps and give you my side afterwards.
Yeah, so pretty much when I'd met Rob, I'd spent a year training with the referees without being on the field, and Rob had come in and everyone was talking about Rob. He's fit, he's fast, he knows what he's talking about. He's very, very book smart. He knows the laws of the game back to front. There's a lot of hype about Rob, and I was like, who's this new kid on the block? Like, he's not going to come in first day and step on my shoes. So me being me, I stepped up to the plate, and we obviously built up a good rivalry over the years. And the first 6 years it was tit for tat. I get one appointment better than you, the next week you get one appointment better than me, and it just pissed us off, I'd say. We got under each other's skin, and we both wanted to be better than each other. And it wasn't until we made reps that we sort of realised, well, the year before we made reps, we realised if we're both good, then we can get through this together. And it sort of built a good relationship where we helped each other at training. We did our own training together, reviewed each other's games, coached each other, helped each other out. And I think that bond has stuck strong, even though I'm not refereeing. I still help you out, and I come to you for advice on other things. And now we do it in our personal lives as well for advice. And if we need to be grounded, we know who to come to and get a bit of a reality check. So it's always good.
Definitely. I guess, yeah, when I rocked up to Parramatta referees back in 2010 and heard that some bloke had been training for a year and hadn't got on the paddock, I was like, well, okay, this guy must have a leg up on us. And that was back then. That's a restriction because of age, and you couldn't start refereeing until you were 14. And now you're allowed to start refereeing at 13. What they get away with in the country, that's another story. But essentially, you were held back for a year from actually going out there and doing your first game. So even though we may have started at the same time frame, you'd already had a year of training as a referee before that. And I guess for those first 6 years, just the way that football was structured, that it was natural that everyone around you was in this sort of rivalry. And we weren't really taught at the time that for us to progress, we need to work as a team, because really that's what we are out there as referees. Even if in the junior levels, when it's just you out there and you've got 26 players on the field plus the bench plus some idiot coach yelling at you telling you you're an absolute flog.
More true sometimes.
That was, yeah. And then you got old mate on the hill who thinks he knows everything about rugby league and has got just bionic vision or something, and can see through people. And that idiot he knows where to go. Anyway, essentially, you were ahead of me at the time, and it didn't sit right with me, because I felt like there was some inequality there, and you thought there was an inequality back. And I guess we didn't really talk much to each other while we were at training. We just sort of, hi, civil, and tried to prove it on the field that we were better than the other. And until we did get through to the junior rep stage where we're reffing Harold Nuts and SG Ball, we didn't really see the light and the value that came from actually pushing the other person to be better, and that how much joy and pride I had in seeing you develop and vice versa. And I guess that is where we cemented our relationship. And to be honest, that didn't really come around until you got your very first injury, which was a calf strain followed by a groin strain in the same year. And instead of you being just ahead of me every year, I managed to just get on top at the end of that year. I think I did one age group ahead in the grand finals at the end. And for those people that don't know much about refereeing, I guess when you go into that sort of world, you should look at it as if you're a player on a team, and you are that team. And I guess you're competing for the spots the same way other teams are competing for their grand final spots. And the higher ranking you get, as in the higher age group and the higher division you get, the better ranked you are, and the more likely you are to progress and succeed and get better coaching and development. Because the further you go up, you'd like to hope that you get better coaching and development.
Yeah, exactly right.
Now, you definitely get more resources, that's for sure. And I guess due to bad luck with you getting a couple of injuries, it enabled me to get slightly ahead of you. And I don't know if that humbled you a little bit, and sort of it made my ego settle because I didn't feel like I needed to keep proving myself. We managed to take our egos off the table and actually realise that there's a good bloke behind it. And at that time, I realised that you are probably one of the smartest people in rugby league, and I guess you would never credit yourself as someone who is smart or a genius or book smart. You might be a very outgoing person to try and make up for that, but in terms of someone who knows and understands rugby league, I don't think I know anyone or of anyone that understands rugby league any better than you do. The idiosyncrasies that you can pick up and that you can explain is far above and beyond anyone else that I've seen. And I think this is probably the first time you've actually heard me speak about this about you, and might be a little bit of a surprise, but yeah, I guess I saw that value in your understanding of the game and how a game is run, and then how your actions as a referee can change the game in terms of bringing discipline to the game and getting a better quality game from it. I had a lot to learn, and it was in my best interest to actually work together than work against you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Rob. Like I said, it's the first time. It did make me blush a little bit. Haven't done that in a while, so thank you. But yeah, for me, I guess my understanding of the game comes from my experience. Like I said, I've been around rugby league my whole life. When I was younger at Foxtel at home, I was watching every single game. There was a time there where I could recite the top 17 from each team and who was playing that week, and I knew every round game. I was an encyclopedia of rugby league at a very young age. I think that sort of just stuck with me, watching the game as a kid. For me, I had a coach, I think it was the under 10s or under 11s, and he said, when you go home and watch a game of football, don't just watch it for the entertainment. Watch what the players are doing. Watch how the game is being played. There's more to it than just catch the ball, take it up. And for me, at the time, I was playing as a hooker and front row, very different, two different positions, but that's what was being sold into me.
Wouldn't be in hooker, that's for sure.
So yeah, I played between those two positions, and I used to pick the best hooker and the best prop of the game, and I'd watch the way they play, watch the way they defended, where they defended, how they defended, what position they took up on the defensive line.
You became a student of the game.
Yeah, exactly right. I was always learning, and I thought every game was a classroom to me. It wasn't entertainment.
But it wasn't a chore. Like, it was the classroom that you chose. It wasn't the classroom that you had to be in.
Exactly right. Like you said, a student of the game, always learning. And then from my experience refereeing, I think I've refereed so many games over the 8 years that I was actually on the field. In the school game during the week, there was 6 to 8 games every Saturday and Sunday for about 4 or 5 years. Lots of football, all the time. Adults, juniors, you name it. All different competitions. I've pretty much refereed it, and it's given me a lot of experience. During my older adolescence, people would say that I was a very grumpy human being, and at times
I think you just misunderstood it. You got a short fuse, but who doesn't?
Yeah, and I got a very short fuse, and the explosion can be quite extensive, but give it a couple of seconds and it settles down. But yeah, for me, that at points in a game, my aggression or my grumpiness would come out just because a player didn't show the right respect to me, or the player did something that got really under my skin, because being a student of the game, I know he shouldn't have done that and there's a better way to do it. It just ticked me off a little bit, And that came out, and it was evident in my games. And at times, it had ruined some of the games. I'd lose control of the game, and then I'd be chasing my tail to get control back of the game and have a proper game of football out of it. And I think about 2 years where it got really bad, and then I took some time and actually dealt with my demons and could control that anger a bit more. And
It's real good demons.
real bit demons. But yeah, I think taking that time to actually figure out what was ticking me off, what those demons were. I could
Did you
control
figure it out?
you know?
How'd you get through that? What process did you go through to sort of figure that out? Because I guess most people, everyone goes through periods where they all have demons, and there's different strategies for different people. So I guess what did you find works for you in the end?
Yeah, so for me, obviously, there was a whole lot of things happening at the time. I lost 3 of my grandparents in the space of 18 months. At the end of that, my parents broke up. So lost my grandparents. My immediate family had split up. And as a consequence, my relationship fell apart as well at the time. And that all snowballed into one big ball of anger. And I went through depression and into a really deep, dark hole. Seen some counsellors, psychologists, and got myself out of it through exercise, through practicing mindfulness and gratitude. I found was a big thing for me. Waking up every morning, knowing what you were grateful for, going to bed, being grateful for what you had during the day. That was huge for me.
Was it hard for you to go get that professional help, to go and seek that out? Because I think, like, if I was in your position, a young man, 18 years of age, pretty much your whole world's fallen apart around you, and how you meant to keep it together. I think one of the last things that I would think of was going to go talk to someone. But did you find that beneficial?
Yes, it definitely beneficial, and I praise anyone that's going through some tough times. They do reach out to a friend, to a family member, or to a mental health specialist. It is a huge decision. It's a bit of a slap in the face, you could say, because an 18-year-old thinks he's invincible, is admitting that he needs help, which is something us 18-year-old blokes don't really want to do. But I was at a point where it did take me a while to come to that conclusion that I did need help. And I think fighting that battle as well was one of the harder battles fighting, admitting to myself that there's an issue and I needed help. But I did. I got the help, and I'm better for it now. I think now I look back and I've learned a lot from that 18, 24-month period of my life.
I think that's when we started to develop a real friendship at the same time. So I saw you probably more towards the back end of that.
Yep.
Becoming a friend and seeing you work that out at such a young age, it opened my eyes up. Because I was also 18 at the same time, and being a young fellow going, well, look at this bloke who's pretty much had his whole life stripped away, picking himself back up and get back out there and do what he wants to do, and do what he has to do, not just for himself but for his family and for his future, essentially, and his community, which the people around him. You showed me the maturity that you have, and essentially the sacrifices and the big things that you have to sort of go through to come out to be a better product of a person in the end of the day. So I found that quite admirable. But would you say that rugby league and I guess more to the extent refereeing, would you think that, was there anything that you got out of refereeing that helped you get through that period as well?
Yeah, 100%. So obviously, refereeing builds your resilience week in, week out, knowing how to cop
Shut up, you
how to cop criticism from the sideline, other people telling you you're not good enough. That sort of resilience I built up every weekend through the years of refereeing rugby league.
But in reality, the biggest critic is yourself.
Yes, 100%. And that's why, to me, it never got to me, because I was always harsher on myself than what they would say to me. Most of the time, I'd agree with the comments that were coming over the sideline, and call me a fuckwit or whatever, and I'd agree with them. I'd say, yes, how did you know me? That was pretty much my comment that I made to most people, that through verbal abuse over the sideline, I'd say, oh, you're right. And
You just laugh, smile away, and move on.
give them a nod, give them a wink, and show them it didn't affect me. It's like I said, I most probably had the same opinion of myself at the time as well. But yeah, building that resilience through refereeing, I think, helped me know that I'd get through that time in my life. And I think refereeing gave me a good goal to aim for. So through that whole time, I refocused myself back on my rugby league and back on my refereeing, and wanting to get to the next spot. I was at a point in that time of...
In my perspective, I guess, you going through that period, rugby league was the one thing that was consistent, that brought you some pride and joy and some just normality.
Yeah, exactly right. It was there the whole time. It was there before, it was there during, it was there after, and I was getting some small wins and successes on and off the field in the refereeing world at the time, which kept me going. It was the light at the end of the tunnel, and pretty much coming out the back end of my depression, I ended up making the junior rep squad, which was my end goal at the time. That was the long-term goal I set for myself when I started refereeing, and that was the first step to getting there. And that success, I guess, and building our friendship off the back of that was really the light at the end of the tunnel that got me there. It kept me here. It kept me grounded, and made sure that I'm here today to share my experiences with others and help them out on and off the field. It's shown me how good the game of rugby league can be, and the good people that are in the game.
I guess I've got a similar experience with starting at refereeing and what it can do for you in terms of being a young fella coming in at the age of 14, sort of a bit like everyone, not really knowing what you want to do with yourself, and this carrot gets dangled in front of you, going, well, look, if you're good enough and you dedicate yourself to this, then you could potentially be on the NRL, because at that point in my time, similar to you, a few injuries helped me guide my decision as to, am I going to commit 100% to refereeing, or am I also going to play as well? Because when I first started, I was doing both, and I had the option laid out in front of me, and I chose to stick to refereeing. At the time, it helped me because I joined with another mate of mine that I was playing footy with, and we were probably the smaller fellas on the team, and week in, week out, we'll keep getting crunched by the big boys, the big fobbers that are out in Western Sydney. Credit to them, they put their body on the line, but Jesus Christ, they absolutely kill the little guys. And I was sick of being knocked out one too many times, knocked on my ass, and just like, yeah, okay, I've had enough of this. And I guess you don't really feel that until you get to those sort of older teenage years. When you're younger, you sort of just, everyone's about the same caliber, but then as bodies grow, it's all a bit different. And then coming into refereeing, I think instantly having to control the field, it taught me how to control the room, because the football field was your classroom, and if you could control the football field, you could control the room. And it taught you how to talk to people, how to get their attention, how to get people on side with what you want them to do, how to deliver a message effectively, how to it gave you, I guess, a structure where you can develop not only as a referee, but also as a person, maturity-wise, and all these other skills that you don't necessarily consider when you think about sport. And I guess as a player, you get a little bit of that, especially if you become a captain. But when you become a referee, it forces you to accelerate that process of maturity. And so when I was 15, I found myself with all my mates at school that they were just talking about different things. They were talking about playing games and doing dumb shit on the weekend. And I was like, well, I'm going to go make some money refereeing some footy, doing what I love, and potentially I'm going to make it on TV. So that carrot was big enough for me to sort of put the blinders on and set a focus on that course and commit myself to this. And we'll see if I actually end up there one day.
Well, with the hard work and the dedication you do put in, I haven't seen a person as dedicated and as committed to the goal as you. The stuff you do even off the field, with uni, with your work, with rugby league, your schedules are packed. It means that I don't see you every week. I don't see you every month sometimes, but I know that, yeah, exactly right. You're busy, you're on the go, you don't stop, and that's a testament to your character and how resilient you are. You've got to drive, and like you said, that carrot's been dangled in front of you, and you're going to get there.
Yeah.
That same drive.
Yeah, I guess I've designed my life in a way at the moment where I'm trying to maximise the time that I have, and knowing that the time that we do have is finite, but we've got a long time to go. And if I put in the hard work now, hopefully I can enjoy and reap the benefits later. And I've completely designed what I do and how I do things because of what happened on a rugby league field. Having broken my arm and my leg playing footy, and then coming back to it and going, okay, well, I had a really good experience with physiotherapy, and I really enjoyed that process. I guess that's why I'm studying it now, and then going on to do exercise physiology, and hopefully I get through this degree in the next year or so, depending on what's going on in the world. Hopefully that doesn't delay anything, but it's quite interesting to see how one moment in my life at the age of 13 has changed my trajectory and really pushed me in one direction, going really deep into sports science and optimum performance, and then talking about treating medical conditions on a full-time basis. And then how could I combine that with my ability to referee in the weekend? How can I take what I've learned in the classroom from a university degree to implement that and optimize my performance as a rugby league referee? And then how can I help other people do the same thing in their own respective sport or their own area of life in whatever affects them? So, it's really quite interesting to see what different people get out of their involvement with rugby league, and I guess the extension that goes on from there, because now we both sit on the executive of Parramatta Referees, and we've gone on different roles in that position, and in this year 2020 you've taken on the director of refereeing position, which for those listening, that means you're the one who has the final say on who referees what game in Parramatta. Right, you're in charge of developing new referees and old referees in becoming better referees and better people. Yep. You're essentially the guy in charge of on-field skill and development. Yes, we've got an NRL referee, Ziggy, as our trainer, but ultimately it's up to you to determine the outcome of how good our cohort is in Parramatta. So I guess what's your role there, and how do you see that you could bring some benefit to the people around you?
Yeah, so essentially my role as the director, I've got there's two panels that I work closely with, the junior panel and the senior panel. And they, on both of those panels, we've got copious amounts of experience from NRL level all the way down to park level. There's members of those panels that have refereed State of Origin, run touchlines, in State of Origin matches, grand final, grand finals, Super League, you name it. They've done it. And I'm forever grateful for their help. That I've learned off them, and I can continue to learn off those members as well. Just because I'm the face of those panels doesn't mean any of those members on that panel have less of a say. They help me a lot in developing our referees. We go out every weekend coaching referees week to week, picking up trends on a weekly basis. We'll come together, have a fun conversation on what they've picked up from certain games, and if I notice a trend between all of our referees, that's where I work closely with Ziggy, our skills and coordinator.
Can you say his name properly?
Zbigniew Przeklasser-Rademski.
Yeah, you absolutely.
I think I made a middle of that one. But yeah, so Ziggy and I work closely during the week to formulate what training will look like on a Tuesday night. So generally what our conditioning will be, if it's going to be lots of conditioning or what is up on conditioning, because we're noticing the referees being a bit fatigued or they've done a lot of work over the weekend. And then we go into 40 to 60 minutes worth of skills and drills, where if I notice there's a trend of scrums are looking terrible, we work on those, or our in-goal positioning needs a bit of tinkering with. We're always looking at helping our younger referees. But yeah, for me, the development part is very big. The coaching part is there, it'll always be there, but the development part, I don't want referees to become stale or unhappy with what they're doing. I always want to see others develop their skills. We're all there to have fun, to enjoy what we're doing, and we're not going to do that if we're doing the same age week in, week out.
I think that's a big factor, actually. The fact that most referees enjoy what they're doing. Like, from an outsider's perspective, a lot of people go, well, how could you do such a job? You know, you're getting abused all the time. You're under so much pressure, and you're running around getting flogged, and you're underpaid. And what would your rebuttal to that be?
Well, yeah, we don't do it because we're getting paid. And when we're out there, you don't hear the crowd as much as people think you do. You're so focused on a job, you're so focused on your reason why you're out there that it just becomes white noise. Obviously, there'll be times where you do hear comments come over the sideline, you do hear them, but when we're out there, we're having fun. It's like we're facilitating the game of rugby league. That's what I like to say. We're facilitating the game. We're not trying to control the game. We're not trying to take the game away from the players. We're trying to facilitate the players enjoying their game of rugby league and seeing the kids enjoying it, because that's the only game of rugby league they'll play all week. Mm. Sometimes they'll only play one game a week, and that's it. Yeah, we might referee 8, 10, 12 games a weekend, but for that one kid, he's only playing that one game. He needs the best experience possible on the field, and the way I look at it is, how can I better his experience on the field as a referee? And
I guess as a young fella who's 14, 15, 16, who might be in a similar position to us at the moment, who has gone through an injury and they're not really sure if they can stay in the game or what they're going to do. What would the process be for someone who wants to become a referee or is considering it and wants to give it a try?
Yeah, so if you're interested in becoming a referee, I'd say pick up the whistle, give it a try. Because
what's the actual process? Like, what would they have to do in order to get onto the field with the whistle and the great pink uniform, depending on where you are?
So the process at the moment, there's Foundation 1 referee courses that are being run by New South Wales Rugby League, and you can find them on playrugbyleague.com. There's a website there. You can click on referee and become a new referee, and there's a whole list of courses that you can sign up to. And it's a 4-hour course. You can sit in the classroom, and there's some ex-NRL referees or current NRL referees as well that are providing that course. And then from there, you come and join an association. We'd love to have you over at Parramatta. Join the association, you become a member, and you come to training. We teach you the basics of rugby league. And then, of course, the only way you're going to learn the skill is by being out there and actually doing it. And when we get you out there, there's always what we call a buddy system.
This is what we do at Parramatta. This doesn't necessarily happen everywhere, right?
Yeah, so at Parramatta, this is what we've implemented for new referees, and I think other associations do have a similar model.
They've copied us.
Yeah, so they've got a similar model, and we've got what we call a buddy system. There's the new referee will go out there with the coach and a buddy, and the buddy is someone who's generally a referee who's been around for 5, 6, 7 years, a referee who's in junior reps, who's in the emerging talent squad, who's in the
What's the emerging talent squad? Hold up. What's that?
So the emerging talent squad is a step before junior reps. Junior reps refereeing Ashley Ball, Harold Matthews, Tasha Gale.
And how do you get to junior reps? How do you get to that stage?
So to get to that stage, you need to go through the emerging talent squad. That's where associations identify younger kids who are under the age of 18. So you've got the 16, 17-year-olds who are on the brink of making it to the junior rep squad, who are keen, who are interested in refereeing in a higher age group at a more competitive level. We nominate them into the emerging talent squad, where New South Wales Rugby League provide them with a more in-depth training regime on the field, like physically conditioning, fitness, and also in the classroom, more theoretical based, learning the laws in a deeper level and gaining that education and understanding. So when you go out into the junior rep squad, you're not thrown into the deep end. You've already got your skills there. You work on them in the junior rep squad.
So what would be the difference between being a new referee and being a junior rep referee? What would a week in rugby league involve?
So as a new referee, pretty much you start off in under 6s and 7s. You come to training on Tuesday night. You get your appointments that evening. You go home, wake up Saturday morning, and you're off to one of the local grounds, and you're refereeing the 6 or 7 underage age group with 2 or 3 other new referees, and with your buddy there, and you spend pretty much the first 4 to 5 weeks of your career of the year with a buddy, with a coach. And once we believe you're good enough to do it on your own, that's when you get that buddy stands on the sideline and watches you and coaches you rather than buddies you, and then you progress to the age groups that way. Whereas a junior rep, they go to training on a Tuesday night, they get their appointments for that weekend in the junior reps before they get to our Parramatta referee training. And then once they finish Parramatta referee training, they go home, they wake up Wednesday morning, go to work, go to uni, whatever. Then Wednesday evening, they're at junior rep training. That's changed this year. They've been training on Tuesdays now, so junior reps will train on Tuesdays. And then come the weekend, they'll referee a game or 2 in the junior rep level. And then whatever day they're not refereeing at junior reps, they'll come and help out at Parramatta refereeing 1 or 2 games at Parramatta. So they're very busy. And after refereeing their games, of course, they go home and do a video review, and they're constantly...
That's because they've got comms gear on. So when you're at the local level, generally, when you're doing the other guys, you're only there by yourself. You don't need that communications gear. But when you go into the higher levels of Parramatta, we've got comms gear, but then also at junior reps, it's mandatory for them to have this really good quality comms gear that you can talk to your touch judge and they can talk to you. It's an open mic system for the centre referee. Your coach on the sideline can also hear as a referee coach, and then you've got a recording going to the video camera.
Yes. Yeah, exactly right. So that allows the referee to review their game at a complete level, make sure that their comms are correct, their timings, what they're saying is correct. It's targeted. There's a reason for what they're saying. They're not just making white noise, which is a big thing at the moment, making sure referees are being specific and targeted in their approach to their vocab rather than just saying lots of words that mean nothing.
You go through every step and you check your decisions on every step.
Yeah, exactly right. And you review your decision, make sure that you're...
Every tackle.
Yeah, no, exactly right. You go through every tackle, every decision. If you've missed something, you mark it down, why you've missed it, what could you do to make sure you don't miss it next time. And that's a big thing. Your review isn't just to go out and bomb yourself. It's to make sure that you're better for next time. So you pick up, I was one or two spots too close.
You pick up big trends to begin with, and then as you get better over time, you pick it up smaller and smaller things.
Yeah, exactly right. And it could be small things like timing or one word that you're saying that you didn't realise it's triggering a different response than what you want from the player. And over time, throughout your junior rep career, you pick up, you work on your craft, and you make the perfect model, and you keep getting better from there.
I guess what was the highlight in your refereeing career when you were refereeing? Considering it got cut short, doesn't necessarily have to be some of the highest highs, but things that you really enjoyed. You can pick one or two.
I guess for me, my first game in junior reps at Morey Green Oval up in the Central Coast, that was huge for me, considering where I'd come from to get there. Like we mentioned earlier, the demons that I battled to get there and reaching my final goal. That was big for me. That was a good big moment. It was a positive moment. Sort of put the cue in the rack there.
2016?
Yeah, 2016. And yeah, so 2016 round one of junior reps. I was only on the touchline, but I think I ran SG ball and Harry Matthews touchline on the same day. And so two big games, and it was a big difference from park football. And I noticed straight away, we referee trials in the junior rep level, but going out there refereeing round one is a huge difference from.
I would argue some of the best footy that you ever get to experience would be SG ball football, as in the speed and the quality of players. When you get to NRL level, there's a lot more wrestling, strategy, and tactics, and it's not as pure talent that you actually get to experience than what you get to see SG ball, which is under 18 rep footy. And I'd say that's some of the best footy that you could ever experience.
I definitely echo those comments. Under 18 SG ball football is like you said, pure. It's rugby league. It's what it should look like. It's fun. It's exciting. It's hard hitting. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, you've also had some really good experiences with things like 12 nationals and Koori knockout and some special events. Did you want to touch on them as highlights at all?
Yeah. So in 2012, I made the Australian schoolboys under 12s championship team. And
what do you have to do to qualify for that?
So for that, our association nominated 3 referees, you being one of them, and we went down to Liverpool Catholic Club and refereed the state-based championships. And from there, the New South Wales coaches watched us and they assessed us and ranked us from the state. And there was representatives from all over the state, Penrith, Parramatta, Canterbury, all over New South Wales. And I was ranked in the top 2 from the state, and we were selected to go.
Rumour has it they didn't want to send 2 Parramatta refs, so they picked you and someone else. So I just missed you out.
Yeah, rumour has it. I don't know how true the rumours are, but no, he obviously again a bit of a rivalry that we had back then, and for me it was another notch in the belt.
I was spewing with you.
There's another notch in the belt for me where I got the phone call and they said, Nick, congratulations, you beat Rob again. You're going up to Mackay, and that's where it all got serious for me. Going up to Mackay, it's the first time I'd worn proper comms gear. First time our games were properly video recorded, and the first time we actually sat down and we run through how to debrief a game. We did it as a team. It wasn't as complex as what they are at the junior rep level, but the 6 match officials that were up there to referee the games, we sat together as a team and went through specific parts of the game that the coaches marked down, and we reviewed it as a team, and that was a very eye-opening experience for me. And so we spent 5 days we spent 6 days up in Mackay, 5 days refereeing.
All expensive paid tickets to the NRL.
Yeah, exactly right. There was a free trip up to Mackay. There was a day where we got to go out and see the sugarcane fields, and and experience local life up in Mackay. The other days it was up early, get to the field, do a warm up as a group, get your appointments for the day, refereeing one game, running 2 touch lines. That was what the round games looked like. And you'd come home and get into the pool, do the recovery session, and then do your video review. And by that time it was 8:30, 9 o'clock, and you're ready for bed. So it was long days, but the experience that I got out of it, the friendships that I got out of that as well. There's 3 referees from one from Queensland, one from Illawarra, one from he was out of Western New South Wales, and I wouldn't have crossed paths with him until that competition. That was, and we're still friends to this day. If we see each other, we'll stop, have a chat, we'll talk to each other on Facebook. It was a really good experience. One of my favourites, one I'll remember for a long time. And Koori Knockout, that was a good experience. I think that was 2016 as well. The October long weekend, refereeing that in Dubbo. That was some very different rugby league.
There's some stories about that.
There was some very different. It was a cool experience because I got to referee Indigenous players that were playing in the NRL, like Tyrone Beachy, Leilani Latu, James Roberts.
You're an name, that's enough.
They were the likes that were playing there, along with your amateur rugby league players. But that whole competition is based around being Indigenous. He was there, he didn't play. George Rose, Fafita was there.
Yeah.
So a lot of big names are there. I didn't referee all of them. I think I refereed one or 2 of them. But when Tyrone Peachy took off, there was no chance in hell that I was catching him. He took an intercept on his 20 and he was away. I think he got to the trial line and I was still chasing at the 40. So he got speed to burn, that kid. But that was a great experience. A big cultural shock, if I say.
You get a really profound respect. I managed to go up to Koori Knockout last year, and I found it's a competition like no other. You really open your eyes up to the community and how strong the community is in the Indigenous rugby league community, and what they do when they come together. Some of the great stuff that they can provide, not just in terms of rugby league, but when they pull all their resources together, what they can do for themselves as a good group, and trying to pull themselves up and show the talent and the skills that they can foster.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. The Indigenous players, they cop a lot of flack, but they provide some of the most exciting and most powerful rugby league you'll ever see. And that competition was, like I said, a real eye opener to how you mentioned how the Indigenous community comes together, a big family. It doesn't matter what mob they come from. They are all one mob. They might be separate mobs from different areas, but when they're together. They're a big pact, and it's refreshing. It's good to see. It's a big cultural shock. It's different to what we have, being white fellas, as they'd say. But yeah, the Koori Knockout is definitely that. It's an exposition of rugby league. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about some highlights, and one of the things that I don't think I'll ever forget, and I find it's quite common with other referees that I talk to, is that they'll never forget the very first game they referee and where it is, sometimes even the players that they have. For me, I was down at Cabramatta Leagues Club, and I had a good mate of ours, Jason Nadira. He was my coach. And what I find was kind of funny, he was the guy that put me through my course. He was the guy who coached me on my very first game. And then when it came around 6 years later for me to join the junior rep competition, we ran in our very first appointment together down at, is it Kirkham Oval?
Yep.
In Group 6 district? Yep. Which is just south of Camden area. And I think it was really nice to have that full circle where my very first game ended up, the coach on that first game was someone who I ran my very first junior rep touchline with. That was really cool. So those community and the relationships that you build throughout your time, I think those sorts of relationships like ours, you form some really strong bonds with some really good people, and you're going to carry them throughout your life for sure.
Yeah, no denying it. Over the years of refereeing, I've met some fantastic people, some great people. I've met some terrible people.
Oh, you know.
But the great people outweigh it, and there's a handful of people that I know that in my darkest times, if shit got real, if shit hit the fan, then they'd stand up for me. They'd be there supporting me, and that's a big thing, I think. And there's a lot of good people in our game, and it's what really why I've stuck with rugby league for so long. Why I haven't turned my back on it after all the bad headlines it's received. It's because it's more than those headlines. It's the friendships. It's the family you make. So that's what rugby league has done for me.
Yeah, no, that's pretty special, and I feel like. What's your take on all the evidence and I guess stuff and stories that is coming out with injuries in sport? And if you were a parent, what sport would you put your child in?
Well, as a parent, obviously, I'll be listening to it.
So, for those that don't know, you've got a 1-year-old boy, beautiful little boy called Mason, and I know that he won't have a choice in playing anything other than rugby league. But for those that do have a choice, what would you say in terms of potential fears for parents with rugby league and their sporting options?
Yes, I do have a young son, and I would love for him to be playing rugby league, but if that's not what he wants to do and something else makes him happy, then so be it. But he'll definitely be a Parramatta supporter. There's no denying that. If not, he'll be out on the streets finding somewhere else to live. But I definitely, if your kid is looking for a sport, I definitely give rugby league a go because there is no better game, in my opinion. It is
very biased opinion, but I respect the opinion.
There was an article that came out, I think 2 years ago now, and it was a bit of a research into concussion, head knocks, and the prevalence in the sports, and that was a list of sports, and rugby league did not top that list.
No,
which
it didn't.
They were a little bit lower than number one, which was good to see. It shows the precautions that we take in the game and how the game is designed to keep our kids safe. There's a specific set of rules.
I mean, I was quite surprised. I know what you're referring to, and one of the sports that popped up which really threw me was for soccer getting subconcussive trauma primarily from doing headers and getting head knocks in the air. But I was actually very surprised by that report and what came out of it. I think NFL was one of the worst, and boxing, if you weren't good at dodging the hits, you're gonna cop a fair bit of head trauma. But apart from the obvious, I was quite surprised, and it's reassuring. I'm not a parent, but I guess if I was in your shoes to say, look, I know that my kid's playing a game where he can develop first and foremost as a person and then as an athlete. It's quite comforting to know that he's going to be in a quite safe position as long as you guys you teach him the right techniques, and for someone in your role that you do for work, I guess you're in the best position to mold him to be very good athlete, particularly rugby league skills.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And like you said, it does come down to technique, and the game is working very hard at continually making the game safer for younger kids, for kids who are starting to play the game. It's always developing. There's different ways of starting. You can play touch football, you can play lead tag, and develop your catch and pass, your grip carry, and all those skills, your evasion skills first before then adding in the tackle. That's a big step, big skill to work on properly. But the game is always working to make it safe for kids, and I think for me, the technique is a massive part in that. You need to have the correct tackle technique, and if you don't, that's where injuries are going to happen. It's just like picking up a squat bar, and if you don't have the correct technique, that's how you're going to hurt yourself, and it's the same with the tackle. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, no, I guess that's pretty well put. No, good idea. There was something else I was going to say in terms of getting kids into rugby league. But I guess I'll digress and let's talk about the big thing at the moment, the coronavirus situation and what's going on in Australia. I guess we are all stuck in an isolated position, and you can only go out to do certain things. One person in a household, and I guess that's how I managed to get here today. From being outside of the household, still trying to follow the rules, but trying to get exercise sessions in. I know motivation's down because you don't really know what you're playing for. But I heard today that there's something called Operation Opal or something of the like, and it's the bigwigs of the NRL coming together to make a decision on if they can find a way to play our great game of rugby league in these uncertain times. Do you have anything? Do you have any insider knowledge, I guess, in your position that you could share with the public and what's going on there?
I wish I did have some insider knowledge because just like everyone else, I want the NRL to be back on TV, got something to watch on a Friday night. But as far as I'm aware, Project Apollo or Project Bubble, whatever they want to call it,
Apollo.
Yeah,
Apollo.
was being led by Wayne Pearce, the ARL commissioner. I know Trent Robinson, the head coach from the Roosters, the CEO from the Raiders, so the two most recent grand finalists. A representative on that panel, as well as
V'landys,
Annesley, and Peter Abdu from the NRL. So there's quite a bit of representation on that. I think it's a 7-person committee, and they're working out different scenarios and how the game can restart. And as far as I know from what media are speculating, it's looking at restarting sometime in May, which is exciting. So obviously they just need to get the sign off from different governments. There's obviously the hurdle of getting New Zealand Warriors back over to Australia and isolating them for 14 days before they can.
They're in a very good position at the moment. I mean, they've only had, from all reports, one death from where we are and had no new cases in the last week or so. So they're going pretty good. But I heard the New South Wales government, they're going to give the green lights to go ahead to help take the restrictions off so they actually can get a competition going. And it was mentioned in the media, from what I heard, is that if there's one game that can bring hope back to the Australian people, it's that we get the game of rugby league back on TV.
100%. I couldn't have said it better. It just gives the people some social outlet first and foremost, and it just shows that the situation is decreasing in severity, and there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Players back out there playing the game they love, getting paid to do, and yeah, it's definitely provides some hope, some good fortune.
Yeah, I mean, we know that this COVID virus has hit everyone pretty hard, and I don't think anyone has been able to avoid a hit from this. You of all people, being an NRL employee, having to be forced to take leave and sort of with no work at the moment, bored shitless at home, trying to figure out what you're going to do with yourself, making football presentations. I guess you of all people can empathise with those out there that have lost their jobs completely, that are doing this job seeking and employment opportunities that are out there and trying to do things. I just empathise, I guess, with everyone out there and give everyone our best wishes that, we as Australian people are going to get through it, and as a global community, we're going to get through this. It's tough times at the moment, and I guess we've just got to try and control what we can control, which is doing our part in all this and staying home as much as possible, only going out for essential things, exercise and whatnot. I think it was kind of funny. We were actually going for a run the other day in a local park, which we thought was appropriate and all okay and above board, only to find out that sporting fields were closed in Australia and whatnot. one of the locals called Crime Stoppers on us. Cops came down and moved us on from running on the field. So, yeah, it's strange times to say the least. And for all those going through tough times at the moment, just know that it's going to come to an end at some point, and you need to try and keep focused on what you can control, your health and your well-being at the moment. Do you have anything that you'd want to add to that?
Yeah, I think you put it very well. They're very uncertain times at the moment, and I do empathise with people who've lost their jobs. I'm thankful at the moment that I'm still getting paid and I can keep a roof over my family's head and provide food and everything else. But that could change in a couple of weeks' time. So I totally understand the stress and anxiety that comes with the current situation. But again, stick together, do the right thing. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and we'll get through it and come out the other side bigger, better, and stronger.
Yeah. Well said. Thanks for coming on to my podcast.
So, right, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
thanks
I
for
hope you
letting me
enjoyed
shoot
it.
your ear for a bit.
I hope that people that are listening got something out of it. So, yeah, I'm sure I'll have you on in the future. And take care.
Look forward to it. See you later.
Bye.